Mario Bautista joins me now. How you doing, Mario?
I'm doing pretty good, Archie. How you doing?
I think pretty good's probably an understatement. If I were you, I'd be doing pretty fucking fantastic, Mario.
Yeah. I'm feeling good. Yeah, it was a good win. I'm back home now and just licking the wounds and relaxing now.
How are you physically?
I'm good. I got a few stitches on my lip. Legs a little banged up from kicking, but other than that, it didn't turn out to be too bad this time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a masterclass by you, Mario. And I was just saying before you came on, like, when you go against a guy with, only one loss or some guys with, very specific skill sets, sometimes you're kind of tempted to drastically alter how you fight, right? Like, I got to, go where I'm successful. But you looked like just yourself, just like you, like Mario Bautista was Mario Bautista out there. And that's all it took to win all three rounds.
Yeah, it was on paper, it just seems like an easy game plan, right? So he's a great submission artist. He wins all his fights on the ground, and so you just avoid all that. And that's what we game planned for, and I stuck to it, and it turned out great for me.
Did he fight how you expected? Because he seemed, I don't know if it was the way you were moving or something else, game plan or what, but he only attempted one takedown, which is, I think, an all-time low for him. So was how he fought surprising to you at all?
No, not really. Especially when you have someone like me. I face similar guys like in my gym. That move around. They're hitting you to the body. You just can't get underneath them, and you can't. You need that guy to sit still, or you need to push him against the cage to actually get your shot. Um, and he couldn't do that. I think that was a big thing for him. I was moving around. I wouldn't plant my feet too long for him to even grab me or even push me against the cage. Sorry. If you see in the fight, not once did I get pushed up to the cage and stay there to allow him to take that shot. So, yeah, it was a good game plan.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to go absolutely perfect for you. What was the reaction like after you won? Because you were coming off of a win over Jose Aldo, a legend in the sport, and if you have a close fight against someone that's universally beloved, like you get the hate for it, right? As if you're the one that judged the fights. But against Patchy, like this was a guy I think a lot of people were very excited to see in the UFC. Thought maybe he could, fight for the title pretty soon, and you handled him really well. So what was the reaction like from the fans for you afterwards?
Uh, there. I just got back to the hotel and I just started seeing comments. It was pretty funny. I got some that were like, Mario, I sincerely apologize, for all the hate. And I got quite a bit of those. So, they're a little apologetic from my previous fight and for all the hate they gave me. But still, like, I still have to, take that the same way I took all the hate. I have to, keep it on edge. I still have to keep it out there. I can't soak that in too much because if you fall in love with that, then the next fight they hate you, and then you're just on this little roller coaster of like, of emotion. So,
Mm.
but it was nice to see the fans change over a little bit.
Talking to Mario Bautista here on MMA Today. So did you hear? Because he came on this very show, and I was like, all right, so you've Bellator champion for all these good fighters. Like, where's Mario Bautista rank as far as like the best fighters you fought? And he did not even give you any credit. He was just like, oh, I fought this guy and that champion. Did you hear any of that coming from Patchy Mix? And what did you make of how he looked at you as an opponent?
Yeah, as soon as I got to fight week, I started hearing all the things he was saying from like embedded, these little clips that little headline clips that he would say. And and even that, the guys that he's beaten. But at the same time, you've beaten guys that have been cut from the UFC or have never made it to the UFC. So, it's a little bit of a different level. And then also I train at one of the best gyms in the world. I have guys in here that can mimic his style even better than he can. So for him to say that, I think he was just selling the fight. He had to do what he had to do and had to say what he had to say. But at the end of the day, we get locked in that cage, and all that matters is who performs better and who's the better fighter.
Mhm. So there's former Bellator champions don't have a great track record in the UFC. Alexander Volkov has a great record. Eddie Alvarez became champ, but basically everyone else has a losing record. Ben Askren, Joe Soto, and now we saw Pitbull go 0-1, and now Patchy's gone 0-1. Is there something to that? Like, is it all just a case by case basis and just a coincidence, or do you think there's something to that? Why these former Bellator champions just can't seem to find any traction in the UFC?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. It might be a case by case, because you know, you have these fighters, come from Bellator, and some guys come from Risen. Those guys do well. Bellator guys, some of them do, some of them don't. I'm not too sure. It could be the show itself, the lights, the fight week, the media, the expectations, all of that, and maybe you would expect someone like a champion like him to be kind of used to all that. So yeah, I'm not too sure. But for me, I've been in the UFC for 7 years now. I've been through it all, like change of opponent, this and that. This person got hurt. Oh, you're fighting Aldo, one of these legends. I've been through it all, so it's just all experience for me. So when I went into to that cage Saturday night, I was so comfortable and I felt so good in there, and I knew I belonged there, and it showed. It showed in the fight.
You said how comfortable you felt on Saturday night. Was that like a new feeling for you? Is like something that's developed over time to where now you finally found your stroke, or is it just has that always been the way during this 8 fight win streak of yours?
Uh, no, I mean, it just comes more and more each time, throughout the fight week and everything. I don't even waste my energy on like, you know, obviously I think about the fight and whatnot, but I don't let like the media and stuff get to me, this and that. I don't puff my chest. I don't say these things. But then as soon as I walk into that cage, man, it just like I just flipped the switch. Like I could turn it on, and man, I'm just so happy to be there, and excited and ready to fight, like so it just felt good. It felt good in there. It felt good to feel the canvas, to see the fans, see Trump behind me. It was a crazy experience.
Is it different when Trump's in attendance? Is like the fight environment different?
Uh, Not so much the fight, I'll fight in front of anyone, It's more of like getting to the arena and getting out. There's so much security, there's so much, uh, you know, if Trump leaves and you're still at the stadium, you're going to be waiting for about an hour to find an Uber, or, you might be stuck in your seat for a little bit. So those are the only differences. But as far as fighting in front of Trump, uh, like I said, I could fight in front of anyone and still perform.
Well, you certainly have, like I mentioned, 8 fight win streak now in the UFC. You're kind of the bantamweight division's worst kept secret, and now after beating Jose Aldo and Patchy, the jig is up now, right? When you look at like the top of the division, Merab obviously defended his title. Looks like Corey Sandhagen's probably next. Where do you fit into the top of 135 pounds right now?
I'm hoping to get shot into the top five. I think if Patchy won, he would have been, a whole totally different conversation, and I think he would have been shot into the top five for sure. So I think I definitely deserve to be in the top five. I have the third longest win streak in bantamweight history at number 8, behind Aljo and Marab. And as far as being active, I have the second highest win streak in this division. So, you know, I deserve to be in the top five.
Well, who do you want next that'll put you there?
I don't care. I could fight a wrestler. I could fight a striker. I could fight Umar. I could fight. I would like to fight Sandhagen, but like you said, I think he's going to be next in line. Um, so whatever gets me closer to the top, I think the more I look at it, I really like that Umar fight. Um, but like I said, I say these things, I say these names, and it never really happens anyway. So, but we'll see. But I'm looking for a top five.
I love that Umar Nurmagomedov call out. No one's calling him out. No one's calling out Umar Nurmagomedov, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm down. Like, why do you like that matchup so much?
I wouldn't say he got. I guess he did kind of get exposed against Merab. It's his whole gas tank kind of deal. And then even after the fight, like he just kind of came up with excuses. All these guys just come up with excuses once they lose, and that's just a mental thing. And if you're like that mentally, I feel like you're so easy to crack. You might do well, you might be successful, but if you have that kind of mentality against me, I will crack it, and I'll get the win.
Yeah, I love that match. Is there like a time? Is this like, are you going to call, Sean Shelby McMaynard and say, make this fight happen? Like, I'm all tingly now thinking about this fight, Mario. Like, let's make it happen. What's the process like to get you and Umar in the cage together?
We'll see what their schedule is. After this fight, we look down the lineup. Figgy's going to be out for a little bit with that knee injury. Um, so we'll see. And then I know Umar, he has like a weird schedule. They do Ramadan. I know that's over, but hopefully we'll see by the end of this year. I don't want to wait too long. My last fight was in October, and I just had my fight. I don't want to wait that long again. I want to get another fight before the end of this year.
Love it. Yeah, man. I mean, bantamweight. Welterweight's awesome right now. I think bantamweight's right there too, right? With Merab, who just seems unbeatable, and then O'Malley's still a star. Umar's still good. You're now in the mix. Corey Sandhagen's next. It just seems like a really great time for the bantamweight division right now. It's no coincidence that you fought on the same card as the champion, Merab Dvalishvili. What makes him so special? And if you do eventually get that title shot against him, why are you the guy that can finally put an end to his reign?
What makes Merab special? I think obviously it's his cardio, and he's always going, 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 and a lot of people, and especially in this division, like they just don't have that. And I believe I do. That's the answer to that. I can keep up with Merab. I know I can. So I think a fight between me and him, one, I could keep up with him, and I have the ways to kind of hurt him and make him pay for his takedown attempts and whatnot. Because he's not gonna hurt me, and he's not gonna submit me. So the only thing you got to worry about is just being in shape and creating damage when he wants to come forward. So I think I'm one of the only guys in this division that can really match him cardio for cardio.
I've been saying forever, Mario. Everyone's like, oh, you got to stop the takedown, stop the takedown. It's like, no, you have to punish him for his takedown attempts. Otherwise, all you're doing is sprawling the entire fight, and you're not getting your offense going.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. In that fight, you're gonna have to accept that. Yeah, you're probably gonna get taken down, but you just can't make it that. You just can't get taken down and get back up. Taken down, you have to make him pay. And I think I definitely have a style to make him pay for those takedowns. And I can get up and I can keep doing it over and over until, maybe he decides to stop, or maybe he runs into something, trying to get a takedown.
Love it, Mario. I love it almost as much as I love that Pride shirt you're wearing right now. Is that
You
is that
like that?
old school? Yeah, that's awesome. Is that old school, or is that semi new? Did you get it like in the Pride days, or?
No, no, this is new. I got it like I think at International Fight Week. The back's pretty sick too.
Oh yeah, Tokyo, Japan, established 1997. Oh man,
Man, I love
were you
Pride.
were you an MMA fan back then in the Pride days?
Yeah, so I watched UFC a few times, but every time I would turn it on, like nothing really exciting. I wasn't really into it. And then I came across Pride, and man, just seeing like Vanderlei Silva, just being like pretty vicious and everything, Shogun, all those guys. And so I was like a kid back then, just on YouTube, just looking up Pride fights all day.
Mhm.
So that's what really got me into MMA. That's when I really started paying attention.
Yeah, man, the allure of Pride in its prime. Like I feel bad for like it's just I talked to the head of social media at UFC, and they're like, whenever there's not a fight on a Saturday, they don't have like stuff to promote. They just put out Pride videos constantly, and it just does like crazy numbers. Like, yeah, there's like people out there who don't know what Pride is or how awesome it was, and it's like everyone kind of discovers it in their own time.
Yeah, yeah. Pride was awesome. You like they, you had fighters fighting. You were like 170 pounds, and then you see that guy fight like someone that was almost 300 pounds. So they had these crazy matchups and everything. And they're pretty exciting. I really like the rule set. The soccer kicks, the stomps, no elbows, so you couldn't really like, hold the guy down. You had to posture up to actually throw punches. Man, it was fun. It was pretty fun back then.
Rule sets were the best. Do you like the ring or the cage better?
Uh, I mean, I guess I like the cage better. I've never fought in a ring before, but Pride did it right. You had those refs sitting there. If you were against the ring, they'd pull the rope off of you if you're holding on, or like they'd shake you, or they reset you in the center. But the ring was a nice little twist.
The ring looks cooler, but to your point, like, because I fought in a ring a couple times, you can fall out of that ring anytime you want. Like, if you're in a precarious situation, you're just like, oh no, I'm falling. Oh, now we got to restart. It's like, it's got to be a hard surface keeping fighters in there. Otherwise, they just escape.
Yeah. Or fallout. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a cheating bastard. Mauro Bautista, absolutely fantastic performance on Saturday. The jig is up. The secret's out. You are here meaning business, and I love that Umar Nurmagomedov fight. I hope you get it. Can't wait to see it. Thanks for coming on, and when that fight finally happens, let's get you back on. Talk about it.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.